What is going on, gentlemen? How's everybody doing? I am Nick. I know we've got some new guys joining us on these short form videos, and I'm really excited to have you guys. I was talking to Guy earlier today about getting back into these because it's been a hot minute since I've done one of these, and we're both really excited about this. We were talking about doing a series on character and what it looks like to walk with a godly character in our day-to-day lives. And first of all, let me say real quick, I did this video like 5 minutes ago, and I got about halfway through it, and the devil was like, not today. My smoke alarms started going off for absolutely no reason. So we got that handled. So we're going to do this again, and God willing, this is going to go perfecto. So we're going to do this series on character. What does it require for us to have a godly character? And I think the first thing that we have to realize is we have to know our Creator. We have to memorize Scripture, read the Word. That's extremely important in this process. However, I think we need to have an intimate relationship with Jesus. And when we're reading the Word, we have to realize that this is how God speaks to us about who He is, about the character of God. It's where He shows us what He loves and what He hates and what He expects from us. It's what is pleasing and displeasing to Him and so on. And right now, I think one of the biggest thing that the church is in desperate need of is men with true godly character. As a whole, I think the Western church in particular has a very terrible reputation. And why? Why do y'all think that is? These are my 2 cents. We are viewed as hypocrites and liars and yada, yada, yada. And that bothers me. Hypocrites and liars bother me because I used to be that. And I try really hard to not be those things anymore because I'm trying to model Jesus. But very few men or people model what Jesus taught. I think most of us are arrogant, angry, frustrated, lost, irritable, confused, impatient. We lack faith. We have a non-existent prayer and worship life. And I think most of our traits as men don't really line up with a biblical version of masculinity. And I think it's fair to say that the biblical version of masculinity is very different than the worldly masculinity and what is presented out in the world. But I think most of us try to model that either out of a lack of knowledge or understanding. But most of us try to model what a man's man looks like and not really what Jesus modeled in the biblical version of masculinity. So the whole purpose of Jesus coming and the Bible being written was to show us God's character. It's to show us how to behave and how and what to believe, how to react to different situations, and how to pray, how to be leaders in our homes, how to be leaders in our marriages, how to be leaders in the church, in our workplaces, but most of all, it's how to be leaders for people who haven't found Christ and everything that He has to offer. If we don't have a godly character, I don't think we'll ever attract people to Christ. If we keep living with trying to model the world's definition of masculinity and preach the gospel, I think those two worlds collide. And it's not attractive to people. I think that's where they get you're a hypocrite. Because it just doesn't mesh well together. Christ chooses to use people to perform His will, correct? Am I right in this? I'm looking over here like there's someone there, but there's nobody there. I'm used to Amber being right there and me talking to her. Amber's my wife, for all the guys that don't know. If you don't know the Status Note podcast, check it out. We're going to get back on that train here in the next week or two. Anyway, but to bring people into his grace and his mercy and to present salvation to people, we have to know how to walk the way Jesus walked and model what Jesus did. If we are unattractive to people, then we're obviously not living with a godly character, because there's nothing more attractive for people who aren't saved, for people who are hurting, for broken people, than the love and the grace and the peace and the joy that Jesus offers. Matthew 5 is from like 5:1 down through 5:14 is such a great picture of this. It's got the Beatitudes. And the Beatitudes are good, and we'll go through those real fast. But what I really want to get to is the light of the world and the salt of the earth. But the Beatitudes are, blessed are those who are poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. Now here's where I really wanted to get to. And I think we'll get back into the Beatitudes in another video, because those are different characteristics in every one of those verses that I think we should be modeling as men. But the salt and light. So it says, this is starting in verse 13, Matthew 5. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. Then in verse 14 and 15 it says, you are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand. And it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. If we're not the light of the world, if we're not walking as we are the salt of the earth, then, my friends, we are not modeling Jesus. And it's taken me so long to figure this out. But if I'm not portraying Jesus in my everyday life, in the way I react to situations, in the way I respond to my wife or my coworkers, to a homeless person on the street, you name it. If we're not these things, then our characteristics are not lining up with what God expects from us as men. He has called us to be attractive to the world because He is attractive to the world. Naturally, I feel like everyone craves God. But they have to be shown who He is. And how are they going to know that? By the way you and I live. By the way you and I speak. By the way you and I believe and behave. Did I say behave? I might have already said behave. But you get what I'm saying. So, to keep this one short, I know we're about 10 minutes already. In this series, we're going to pick one characteristic per video, and we're going to dive into what that characteristic of Jesus looks like so that we can grow together in these areas. So that we can see where one another are weak and hold each other accountable in these areas. And I was going through the list that Guy sent me earlier, and I was just hitting, yep, I need that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. So I'm excited for this series. I hope you guys are excited for this series. All the guys that have been with us for a minute, what's up? What's happening? I look forward to growing with you. All the new guys, I really look forward to hopefully meeting you in person someday and getting to know you guys on a deeper level and growing with you and all of this. So, yeah, this is going to be fun. Peace.